Facebook.
Plus, it's the algorithm will, like, if you're looking at real estate stuff, it's gonna show you
All right.
more of that.
Thank you for coming. So this is our second monthly Cheyenne Real Estate Investing Association meeting. So thank you all for coming and supporting. What we're going to talk about tonight, I think, is super, super valuable. We're going to hear the stories of two gentlemen who do a lot of wholesaling and some flipping. And the part I love about their story is that it's coming from people that maybe you might not expect, or that they have experienced some barriers in their life, some bumps in the road that they have been able to figure out how to overcome. And even though you may not have had the exact same scenario in your life, we all have things that happen in our life that, whether it's like I came from the wrong side of the railroad tracks, or I didn't have parents who did this or taught me this, or I grew up too poor, or I'm too overweight, or I eat chicken, or whatever. Like, there's always an excuse that we give ourselves on why we can't do something. And it's not necessarily just always real estate, but why we can't do anything. And so the cool part is the stories today, I think, are going to help. Welcome. The stories today, I'm hoping, are going to help expand your mind for your life as to what's possible. So the next time that you want to do something big, that you want to do something in which you're moving towards your dream, you can remember, hey, if they can do it, I think I can figure out a way to do it too. So thank you guys for agreeing to do this. I'm super excited to hear your full story because I haven't even heard the full story. So I'm going to ask Adrian to go first.
Cool.
I'm just gonna sit with him. I'm like his biggest cheerleader.
Yeah.
Ooh, where's the pom-poms? Jeez. Well, my name is Adrian Cruz, and this is Michelle Gallegos. So my story kind of, goes way back. I didn't want to start from when I was a baby.
How much did you weigh?
How much did I weigh? But anyways, I'll go as far as back as 10 years old. So I actually grew up in the Philippines, and I came to America when I was about 10. We grew up in California, a lot of gang violence, all that good stuff. Ended up kept moving. Every year we kept moving because we couldn't afford to have like a stable living situation. So my parents always kept moving. My stepdad's actually a contractor. So he would always just go, job to job, especially my mom too. She's job to job. So 18, 17, we got to Wyoming after moving to like Arizona, Mesa, North Cali, South Cali, just everywhere pretty much, everywhere on the West Coast. And so we got to Cheyenne, graduated high school 18, served our Red Lobster for a little bit. But before that, 18 years old, I actually got in trouble. So I got in a lot of trouble because of like influences and, Cali, I thought I was a thug. So I kind of brought that here wherever I went. So in and out of jail, like 17, 18, I was in and out of jail. And so actually like Red Lobster, I worked from like 19 till 18 till 20 to 21, I was in Red Lobster serving, just like customer service. I always loved customer service, right? Like I loved it. Serving was like my passion. Bartender, all that good stuff. And then I always had a passion for cars too. So after Red Lobster, I was like, what's the next move? Ankle monitor, I had an ankle monitor on, serving people at Red Lobster. So then I got a job at a dealership, where I kind of learned like the whole buying, selling cars. And I started doing that on the side. And I was flipping like so many cars. JP, this is like when I met you, I was like 22 probably. And I was already like 3 years in the dealership. And I got fired from my job because the Wyoming Department of Transportation actually called in and was like, you're flipping too many cars, you can't do that when you're working at a dealership. So I'm like, oh man, I lost my job, but thank God that I bought my first house at 22 with some equity. I ended up selling that house after I lost my first job, or that dealership job, and I took that money and I just started real estate investing. But the way I found that deal, I actually found it through a for sale by owner on Facebook. I don't know if I told you.
Oh,
the
I
story.
remember
Did I
that.
tell you the
Oh, yeah.
story?
Remember
So
the
my
house.
first house, I found it. I bought it for $180. It was over by Gardenia. I bought it for $180, and I already knew I had been like house shopping. I was like, man, this house is like $240. I'm buying it for $180. I went over next door like 7 o'clock in the morning. Like, I'm here to buy your house. I saw it on Facebook last night, Facebook Marketplace for $180,000. I got printed off some bullshit contract offline. I was just so happy because I've been looking for a house.
Well,
For a
no,
long
you were
time.
under contract on a house.
Oh, I was, and I even fell out of it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then I found this deal on Facebook, and I'm like, holy shit, this is like a great deal. I'm falling out of this contract. I'll be there 7 a.m. in the morning. And so I already knew that this house was going to be like for $240,000, right? So I bought it for $180, closed on it, still working at the dealership, lost my job 3 months later, right? And then I was like, holy shit, well, I ain't got no fucking money. Like, I got zero money, right? The only thing I knew was to buy low, sell high, whatever, right? So I was like, man, if I can just like sell my house, pull the money out, and use that money for marketing and start trying to find good deals, which is exactly what I started doing. So I took that money, sold it, took some money out, and then I started House Buyers of Cheyenne, and that was 4 years ago. And then now we flip a ton of houses, probably 5, 7 a month at least, and still wholesale 1, 2, 3, depending on if Rob gives them to me or not, or yeah, that's pretty much it. Any questions?
So what shifted your mind out of the thug life?
So I think when I was like, I remember like at Red Lobster, I had like an ankle monitor on, and all I could do was go to work and then go home, go to work and go home. And I had this like ankle monitor on, and I would just like watch people like with their freedom, right? And I'm like, dude, like this sucks, right? Like there's people out there like even riding their bicycle on the sidewalk onto a range, watching them. I'm like, I can't even do that. You know what I mean? I'm like, what am I doing, right? Like this sucks. So that kind of like shifted my mindset. I'm like, well, I don't want to be this person. Like it sucks. I was like in and out of jail, like all the time. Like I can't do nothing. Like it sucked. So that's what kind of just changed my mind. I was like, man, I just want freedom again. And yeah, just kind of finished probation and moved on.
So what happened that made you start focusing on cars first and then houses as kind of like the path forward?
So I always had like a passion for like cars. I always took like the shittiest car. I detail it, right? Put some rims on it, tint the windows, you know what I mean? Put some subs in it, good stereo, touchscreen stereo, and then sell it. I always had a passion for it. I'm like, holy cow, like I had a passion for it. Like literally, shitty car, I'd like detail, clean the headlights, like I loved it, right? And then sell it, like get it running good, sell it. But yeah, I was just like, I just capped out. Like the car business is tough, you know.
So is that your Lamborghini out there?
It is. So yeah, like I said, I still have a passion for cars. But the real estate thing was kind of like, that's why I took it into like the flipping side of things. Cause like real estate's even better, right? Like you're taking homes and they're so messed up, and you go in there and you put new carpet, new fridge, new granite countertops, make it look so good, and then sell it, right? Like it's so fun to me, right? Like, and that's how I got into real estate, because it's kind of the same thing, kind of yes and no, but it's the same kind of passion for buying it and then fixing it up and then selling it.
Where did you learn to do all that you do? Like, did you have a mentor, or did you just kind of wing it?
For which part?
When you got into, like, when you sold your first house and you just were like, okay, I'm gonna do this.
Anything I don't know, I usually just YouTube it, honestly. Like even until today, like I don't know how to do something, I'll YouTube the hell out of it. There's so much free information online. Like you can Google anything right now and it'll tell you how to do it step by step. So yeah. But yeah, no, I do listen to like podcasts, and I do have, good mentors now that will kind of like give me advice, and all that good stuff. But then, no, it was just, back then it was mainly just like YouTube and, yeah. Yeah. Anything else, guys? Questions?
So how did you scale? Going
Scale.
from 1 or 2 deals a year to 7 a month.
So, it's easier to scale when you're like a deal finder. So when you got a good deal, I can go up to you right now and be like, hey, let's do a deal. I got this good deal. Would you want to partner up with me? 100%. So I pretty much just like started doing partnerships and, and learning how to build a team and contractors and using private money, right, and all that good stuff. Until today, I barely even use my own money. I always use other people's money.
OPM.
OPM.
You know that on YouTube too?
Oh yeah. YouTube. OPM is on YouTube. I learned a lot on YouTube. I literally sit down first thing in the morning. My schedule is I get out of the house like 6:30, and I'll literally sit in YouTube from like 6:30 till like 9:10, just learning a bunch of whatever I want to learn. Like if I don't know it, like someone asks me a question and then I don't know it, it'll bug me. I'm like, why the fuck don't I know this, right? Like I should know this. So I'll literally just sit on my computer every morning, get down at my yellow pages that I used to, like I still do my letters on. I'll take that out too, and then I'll just like take notes. I'm like, yo, like what is ROI? What is NOI? Like what is cash on cash? Like what is that? What is the cap rate? Like I didn't know any of this, you know what I mean? So just YouTube it. Literally, what is cap rate? Boom, right there. 100 videos. Which one do you want to watch?
Yeah.
Right? It's all on there. Whatever you guys want to learn, it's literally on YouTube. Just YouTube that shit. How to flip a car. It's on YouTube. Fix a house. Whatever. Remodel your kitchen. It's on YouTube. Right? Anything you guys want to learn, it's on YouTube. Whatever you guys are trying to learn now, that's why you guys are in here.
TikTok now.
TikTok now too. Shoot, you want to learn how to dance and be a little girl? You can be on TikTok. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Sorry, you don't follow that anymore. But yeah, you guys, whatever you guys want to learn, it's all on there. YouTube is internet. Your phone is so powerful, right? Like, use that. Google anything you want to learn. It is on there. How to do your taxes. You know how to do that? YouTube. I'm serious. Like YouTube. I always tell people I graduated from YouTube University because I never went to college, right? I never went to college. I got no college debt, nothing. And now my friends that are graduating college are like, "Can we get a job?" I'm like, "Why'd you go to college?" Right? But yeah.
So when you're remodeling something or you're flipping it, how do you decide how to allocate your resources? Like, do you just make it how you would like to have it, or do you
Pretty
have certain
neutral.
specific things? Like how
You
do
kind of want to
decide?
be neutral when it comes down to you flipping a house. You don't want to go too crazy, go into specific details, because not everyone will like that, that. So you got to be neutral. Like that's why you see a lot of gray walls and houses and white cabinets and the same old shit, because it's neutral, right? Like it's easier to like be more appealing to everyone versus to just that one person.
What do you feel like has been your biggest barrier in this journey of since you decided, yeah, I think I'm going to try this whole wholesaling, finding deals, and trying to partner stuff?
I think at first it was self-belief. Like I didn't know that I could do it. Like there's a lot of like self-doubt. I remember like my first deal, like I didn't find it for like 5 months. Like that barrier of just like, oh, I can't do it, right? Like you can do literally anything you want in this world, right? Like anything. Like you just gotta believe in yourself, honestly. But that's like my biggest barrier. Like I didn't think I could do it. Now I'm like, fuck it, I can do anything. So I'm like doing other stuff, right? Like I'm everywhere now. I'm like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing that. Because I'm like, now I believe in myself so much. And I didn't have that before. Like I didn't believe in myself,
So what sustained you over those 5 months that kept you going?
I think just like, I listened to like a lot of podcasts, so that I'd listen to like a podcast at least 1 or 2 a day, and I'd always listen to like people that are like successful, that are in this business. So, you know, like I'll listen to stories of like, you know, mom, like 3 kids, right? Like she's a single mom, school teacher, or a firefighter that doesn't even do this full time. And they're out here closing $100,000 deals. So I'm like, this guy can do it. And I listen to that all day long, right? Like I'm hearing these stories all the time. So I'm like, if this guy can do it, this mom can do it with 4 kids and she's a single mom, like I could do it. Like, come on now. Like, you know what I mean? So like, listening to like other people like successful that is in this business is gonna help you a lot. Because there is a lot of self-doubt when you're not around that. When you got people that are like, no, you can't do it. No, like you can't make $200,000 in a year, right? There's a lot of those out there. So you just gotta listen to like the right people, and it'll just come, for sure.
So when you take listening into action, so like there's people that are here, you know, stories inspire,
Right.
but action gives results, right?
100%.
So, you know, like if you're gonna tell someone like, where would you start? I got no money, I got hustle, but I don't know what to do. And where am I gonna find money if I don't have any money? You know, like where, because I mean, you were able to sell a house and get some seed money to start your
Right.
deal.
Right.
Whereas if you had to do this all over again, you didn't have that house, and you had to go find money and find deals. Well, how would you start that?
So I would tell people exactly like how I told Rob. Like Rob, well, he didn't have no money, right? Like he started off, and he still does free marketing. Like he spends no money.
$4 a week.
$4 a week, right? $4 a week. So, and I always told people that if you just like find the deals, the money will be everywhere. And if you had a deal, literally anyone would jump in. Like, I got money for this, I got money. So just like concentrate on a good deal and the money will come. It'll come from anyone you ask from, right? You can go to any real estate investor, they'll give you the money. Honestly, like if one of you guys came to me right now and was like, yo, I got a deal, $100,000, I bought for $100,000, it's worth $250. Yeah, I'm hopping, I'll give you the money tomorrow, right? Would you give her the money tomorrow? Just find a good deal. And that's what I put my focus in, is finding a good deal. And then money just comes effortlessly, for sure.
So finding the deals, let's just go there. Well, how do you find a deal?
There's a lot of different ways. I mean, door knocking, cold calling, writing letters. Yeah, talking to people all day long. Talk to people. You got to be out there looking for it all the time. They're out there. I mean, it's getting tough. It's getting tougher to find, but it's out there. If you're looking every day, every hour.
You drive by a deal every day.
You drive by a house every day. That could be a deal. It could be, it could even be a nice house like this, right? Like it could be, you would never know. It could be, JP could be going through a divorce and he'd spend all his money on strippers or something.
What you do?
Like, you never know. Like you literally never know. Like it could be a house this nice and it could be a deal. Like this guy could be spending all his money on strippers tomorrow, like blowing it all away.
Where'd you get that idea?
Right.
So yeah, you never know. I mean, they're out there. Just keep looking. It's the hardest thing to find, though, for sure. And it's a grind, but you gotta love the grind too. And I think that's why I became successful, because I love the grind. Like I love. Sorry for this like metaphor, but it's like picking up. Remember, like seeing like a girl, and you're like, holy shit, let me see if I don't know. Some of you guys aren't girls, but or guys, but like seeing a girl and you're like, holy cow, I wonder if I can like sleep with this girl. You're at a bar and it's like a challenge, right? It's like, I'm gonna smooth talk this girl. I'm gonna be like, spin out these lines, right? And like I love that. It's like finding deals is like that. So for me, it's like, okay, cool. Like,
So I'm gonna get this.
Thrill of the
it's a
hunt.
thrill, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's fun to me. I love the grind. That's why I flip so much versus like rentals and all that stuff. I love literally flipping. It's like, I just love it, right?
That's why I still sell houses too.
Yeah. So, yeah, you gotta love the grind for sure. But yeah, they're out there. The deals are out there.
How
You
have
ain't got no
you,
deals. Yeah.
how have you noticed that you have changed as a person since starting?
He's still the same guy I met 7 years ago.
I didn't ask you.
I know. I'm just saying he hasn't changed. I'm just
I mean,
playing.
I'm still the same, but I think I have a lot of more wisdom, for sure. I'm still a little kid, I feel like, sometimes, for sure. Still doing dumb stuff, but definitely changed a lot, for sure. I've grown a lot in the last 4 or 5 years, a lot in the 4 or 5 years. And the people that know me, right? I don't know if some of you guys know me. JP knows me, Sherry, not really, right? A few. But yeah, I think, like mindset-wise, for sure, I've definitely grown a lot, for sure.
Who are your biggest influences?
This girl, for sure. This girl's a good influence in my life, for sure. Like, she'll be like, go read this book. Like she took me to my first 10X Growth Con, right? And that was a $10,000 conference, and she paid for that. She was like, all right, you're going to this con. I see so much potential in you. She's like, I'm paying 10 grand for this 10X. That's where I met JP, was in Vegas. She's like, who the hell is this guy with a beard? I know this guy. But anyway, so yeah, she actually paid 10 grand for me to go to that conference, and then that conference changed my life. Like, it was, I mean, you're around big dogs. Like, you're talking about people with jets and, you know, billion-dollar net worth, like crazy guys, and they're just like regular people. You're like sitting in a room like this. Like, we were sitting in a room like this with Grant, right?
Mm-hmm.
Grant, you know, Damon, John, and you know what I mean? All those big boys. And you're sitting like this with them, and you're like, this guy's a regular guy. I could be just like this guy. I could be in a jet. I could be, you know, whatever I want to do, whatever I want to be, right? Like, you can be that person, and that really, like, opened my life. But other than, like, her, I mean, I'd listen to, like, books a lot, so, I mean, Grant Cardone's good. I like Grant Cardone because he's, like, a big 10X, like, do it all. Like, he's not, like, he has, like, a different mindset. He's, like, how can I afford it? Versus, like, Dave Ramsey, he's like, like, stack all your money, like, save it. Like, Grant's like, oh, just go make some more, right? Like, you know what I mean? So Grant Cardone is pretty much like my big influence too, but there's a lot of them out there that'll pop up for sure down there here in the sec, but yeah.
When you think about what's keeping you in the game of real estate investing, what is the biggest value, personal value for you that all of this meets?
I mean, so at first it was money for sure. I was definitely like money driven, right? But like now that I have that, I think it's really just like helping people. Like it's just a feeling that I get when you are like, because I don't just like deal with homes, I also deal with like people that are like having like straight real issues, right? Like crazy divorces and back taxes and kid died or dad died or something. And I think like that's part of things that I know that I'm like actually like helping people out there. That's what makes me feel good, right? And then like I always do this too, like when I flip a house or when I buy a house from like this old lady, and I always like, every time I'm done, I always bring like the past homeowners, and I'm like, check this out, come on in. And they're like, oh my goodness, like this is awesome. Like I love that. Like literally just like that part of like flipping too, but just like the helping people, it's like real estate investing is cool, like flipping houses is cool, but like helping people, like and giving them advice, I know it's weird that they take it from a 26-year-old, but they do, right? It's weird, but I do help out a lot of people for sure, and that's what keeps me going. And like, other than just finding deals, you do get to help out a lot of people, and that's what makes it feel good, because you are like really helping out these people, right? Like they're always going through some tough times, like all the time. Every single one of these like motivated sellers, they're going through some tough times. For sure. So I think that's what makes me like so passionate about it too, because it's like I put smiles on their faces, right? Like they're so much happier when they leave. Like you guys look at all my closing pictures, they're all like, when I meet them, I guarantee you they're not like that. They are not like that. They're like, Adrian, like I don't know what to do. Like my life's, you know, I mean, whatever, right? Like But at the closing table, even though they're selling their house at a discount, they're happy as shit. Happier than ever, happier than I met them, for sure. And that's what makes me like so passionate, for sure.
Other questions?
Any questions?
What's it like with this guy?
He's always in good energy.
Yeah.
He picks
Try to
on
be.
me a lot.
I pick on her a lot,
I pick on him too.
all the time.
I've never seen him in a bad mood. I've seen him be a dick, but
I'll call you out too, man, for sure. I always call him out. I always call you out. Like, where you at? Why you not cold call?
So, I just happened to see some of your prom pictures on Facebook.
That was like 10 years ago.
I wouldn't have even recognized you.
Why? I look the same?
No,
Oh.
no. You look, I thought, I'm like, nah, anyway. So, if you were to go back 10 years, I guess that's more like 8 years ago. Not 10
5
years ago.
That was 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
You said you're 26. Did you go to prom when you're like?
17.
Okay.
I was actually 9 years ago. I graduated 2012 when I was in senior year.
Okay.
That's 2021. Pretty close.
Close.
Yeah.
What would you have told yourself then that you know now that would have changed
Don't be dumb.
your life? DVD, don't be dumb.
Don't be dumb.
What does dumb mean?
Just make the right choices and just
How do you
hang
know
out-
what the right choices are?
hang out with the right people. I guess you don't at that age. I think I wouldn't have changed a single thing what I went through because it wouldn't make me who I am today. Like going through the ankle monitors and in and out of jail and all that, I think it made me stronger for sure. And then you hear all these like come up stories and they're all like freaking rough, right? Like the bottom of the bottom is because that's what makes them them, right? So I think I still wouldn't say nothing. I'd be like, yo, just whatever. You learn, right? Like, you still learn. I'm still learning today. Like, I was a dumb kid, but I'm happy I did all that dumb shit, right? Like, I'm happy I went to jail because I would have never, like, felt like it was to go to jail. Now I'm like, I'm doing whatever it takes to not go to jail. Like, I ain't screwing nobody over. I ain't fucking no one up. Like, nothing, right? Like, I am going to be, like, whatever it takes. I am not going to be a bad person because I knew what that bad person did and the consequences, right? So I would just be like, yo, fuck up as much as you can, right? Fuck up as much as you can in the beginning just so you can be like the best version of yourself later, right? So you know what not to do.
How do you decide who to hang out with?
Definitely like be aware of what they say. Like I'm usually like really aware of what people say. So I'll have like a conversation with them and if they're talking shit about other people or or just gossiping and all that stuff and no goals and you don't want to be around that for sure because it'll drag you down right with them, And there's a lot of those out there. There's a lot of those naysayers out there that are like, nope, don't do that, don't do this. Don't do that, don't do this. I'm like, you ain't done shit. That's why you know what I mean? So, yeah, just get out from that bad group and just start hanging out with the right people. And sometimes you can't tell if they're a good person or not. Sometimes they got good talk and they're smooth. But you'll learn. The truth always comes out with the person, You'll find out eventually. Get out as fast as you can, for sure.
I'm guessing you don't really have a typical day, but you said you YouTube like in the
YouTube.
morning, and then what might the rest of your day look like?
So, it depends. Like, I still like study first thing in the morning. That's like key for me to like stay ahead with myself and other people. But like after I get start having like a brain fog, like 10, 11. That's when I can't, I know when my brain is like not retaining any more information. So that's when I like leave and I like, drive around and maybe look for houses and, cold call or stop by the flips or whatever I want, pretty much. Like sometimes I'll go to Denver and just mess around. So, but I definitely still take the time out to like learn what I need to like learn. And if I do need to, you know, take off and do whatever, then I can. But definitely, yeah, I don't really have like a set schedule because I like my freedom. I enjoy my freedom. Like I don't take it for granted, right? Because you guys know like my story with me with the ankle monitor, serving at Red Lobster, watching people ride their bicycles. Like shit, I might go ride my bicycle, and I do ride my bicycle. You guys might see me riding my bicycle around because I'm like I love freedom that much. So yeah, I mean, I don't really have like a set schedule. It's just like that morning, just learn, whatever, and then whatever I need to do. Sometimes I go to appointments. Sometimes I'm slow, so I'll go ride my bicycle. Yeah, go to Red Lobster for a little bit. I sit there, the same booth. I still sit there every now and then. I'm like, I'll just sit there and have lunch. I'm like, man, I used to sit here with my ankle monitor. This is crazy. Damn, I'm looking outside, there's a Lamborghini outside. I'm like, shh, that's me? That's crazy, right? Like, you never know. That wasn't that long ago either, too. Like, 3 or 4 years ago, it was not that long. Like, that went by so fast. So fast. My advice for you guys is if you are trying to do something, just start that. Just start it. Because you'll be waking up tomorrow in 10 years, you'll be like, holy shit, I didn't start off? Damn. My neighbor did it, and he already flipped the house, right? He don't even go to real estate meetups. He already flipped the house. Just do it, like whatever you guys want to do. Whatever you guys want to do, flip a house, rentals, flips, whatever. You guys can start tomorrow. Just start YouTube that shit. You don't know? YouTube that shit. Literally, I'm like a big fan of YouTube.
I think that's what you mean on your hat. Never mind.
YouTube.
50%.
Yeah.
YouTube.
YouTube. Oh, word for sure. Learn so much from YouTube.
What's your biggest fear?
That's a hard one, man. Damn, dude. Like in life or like in general? Because I was playing a lot of shit, man. I mean, throw a steak on me, bro, run, bro. What are you talking about?
Bury my soul on Facebook Live.
I think my biggest fear is like losing what I have now, because it's so good, right? So every morning, every morning like she does, she writes like her gratefuls, right? Like I don't do that, but I do it mentally, right? I don't write it down. She's a little bit different. I'm a little bit different. But like just losing of what I've worked for. So every day I do keep working on it, and I keep working, and I'm working, and I'm like, I can't lose this, right? Like I'm gonna do this so I don't lose this, right? I'm gonna do this over here so I don't lose what I have. Yeah, that's my biggest fear. It's just losing what I have now, because life is good for sure. Not just like materialistic things like her, you know, my happiness, like my fitness, my health, you know, all that comes into play for sure. Because I could lose it, I could die tomorrow. Done. She can die tomorrow and I'd be like, fuck. Right? Like, it sucks. Like, things suck. People, everything. But yeah, I think that's my biggest fear. So I make sure every day I don't lose, and you just cherish what you have for sure. And your life gets better when you wake up and you're like what she does, gratefuls every morning. Mentally for me, like I just wake up and I'm like, yo, like little stuff too. Like I got coffee this morning, right? Like I got like a roof over my head, like little things. Just be grateful, and then you can you just grow better too as a person. And yeah. It's a big fear of mine, dude. I don't want to lose anything right now. Scary.
Any other questions? Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Nice, dude.
Yeah.
Well done.
For sure.
All right, Rob.
Rob, let's go.
The man.
Hot seat.
You're in the hot seat. Where'd your wife? You said she was coming.
Yeah, she decided not to. We have church on.
Yes.
Yeah, so she went to church out
So
there.
thank you for letting this be your mission field tonight.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna go back as far as Adrian did. Cause I kind of feel like I'm in like a therapy session or something like that. Like a AA meeting or something like that. Even though you said you were a therapist before, right?
Yes.
But you know, like my childhood, you know, I came from like poverty, you know, and a lot of like mental abuse and whatnot from just a lot of mental abuse. I'm not gonna point fingers at any family members or whatever, but where I really started out was like the car business. You know, I was in the car business and the sales. That's where I got a lot of my knowledge from to be able to do something like this. And like this meeting is about like wanting to start something, but like not being in the right position, or you like having doubts about yourself, right? So, and I think that like I'm probably in that position a lot. Like I've put myself through a lot. Like I've been my own worst enemy. Like the way I started it, you know, like I was in the car business, and then one day I just decided to start a business. I was just kind of just a short story, you know, just decided I was in the car business 17 years. Was done doing that, but I had all these sales skills, and I realized like through sales is like what the world runs on. Like I believe like the world runs on sales. Like it takes a salesman. You're always selling somebody something. You know, like Adrian mentioned. You know, like at the bar. You know, I was trying to sell a woman. You know, like she needs to talk to him or whatever. I started my own business, and then I started learning then through my own businesses, like literally like you can do whatever you want. You just have to have an idea, but you gotta like put it into action. Like you gotta 100%, you gotta put it into action. You have that idea, everybody can have ideas, but you gotta put it in action. I've been my own worst enemy my whole life, so I've always like done good, but I've always, since I was 16 years old, I've always battled with like drugs and alcohol and whatnot. And I just tell everybody that now. Recently went to like rehabs and whatnot. In the last couple years, I had a couple businesses. One was really successful. Then it all fell apart on me. And a few months before it fell apart on me, I was actually with Adrian. I forget we were at a restaurant or something, and Adrian says, "Why don't you try wholesaling houses?" And I don't think he knew how bad it was, like my business. I didn't even realize like everything was gonna fall apart. He said, "Why don't you wholesale houses?" And I don't know if you guys all looked into wholesaling before, if you guys ever heard of wholesaling. A lot of people haven't. I told Adrian, I was like, "Man, I don't got no money or no credit." You know, the money I had was like my business money. You know what I mean? So, and Adrian used to always tell me like, I don't know if he says it now, but he used to tell me like, "Hey, I kind of look up to you because you own these businesses and you do this." So I said, "Man, I don't have no money, Adrian. I don't have no credit." He's like, "Man, you'd be good at it. I know you would." So about 4 months later, my businesses all fell apart. About $300,000 in debt. I owe the process server, like me and him are buddies, like friends, literally, like all this debt. Court papers stacking up, phone calls ringing, and I was YouTubing, just like Adrian said. I was like, "What's this wholesale?" I was laying in bed next to my wife, I YouTube wholesaling houses. I found a video. I was like, "Not that one, that's 30 minutes long, not this one." So I found one that's about 15 minutes long, and then I watched it and I sat up and I was like, "Holy shit." And my wife, she was almost sleeping. She's like, what? I was like, "This is a fucking thing. This is a real deal. This is a thing." So almost instantly, I got at it, you know, because I'm all about that action part. You know, you got an idea and you got to put action into it. Like when I first started one of my businesses, it was actually started from a landscaping business. And I had a friend of mine, like he said to me, "You can't start a landscaping business. You got to have a truck, you got to have a trailer, you got to have this, you got to have that." And I had like a Dodge Caravan and a lawnmower without a bag and a little cheap lawnmower, or a little cheap weed eater. I show up to the guy's house and I'm just like, "Yeah, my other crew, they're out, you know, with the other stuff," or something like that. I said, a little white lie, you know. And then all of a sudden that turned into another business, and then now I got like, you know, 15, like, you know, long story short, like 15 grand a week payrolls. I had, you know, I was subbing my stuff out, you know, had all this stuff going on, but like I said, I lost all that. I know I'm going back and forth too much, but what I'm trying to get at is like, you don't have to have the stars don't have to line up right. Everything doesn't have to be perfect for you to make money. Like literally, after I lost my businesses and whatnot, I was selling stuff on Facebook to try to get money for like gas money and stuff. You know what I mean? Like gas money, food money. And and everybody thought like I was a successful guy, but with my not being organized and my drug and alcohol use, of course, that shit just catches up to you. It just catches up to you quick. So anyways, so thankfully, Adrian told me about that. And then it took a while, actually it wasn't, it was right away. I think I made a deal. I split it with Adrian. He showed me the ropes, but of course he took half my deal. Adrian's all about the money, but he did help me out a lot. Like pretty much held my hand, took me to the freaking title company, sat with me at the title company, because I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here, I don't know. But that's something about me though. If I don't know what I'm doing, I'm still gonna do it and just like figure it out as I go along. So I made a couple deals, pretty good, and then like I stopped, because my partner that I had that was helping me out, and he helped me out with these other businesses that failed. I actually found him dead. Like he didn't answer his phone calls for a couple days. Adrian knew Arthur, knocked on his door, broke in his house, and he was laying dead on the kitchen floor. And this is a guy that I talked to, like if we had a deal, we talked to customers, he's like followed up, he was just like my best friend. I found him dead, so that really put me into huge depression. So for about 2 or 3 months, I just like didn't do nothing. I'd just be in my bedroom. I'd be like a week or two, I wouldn't sleep. And even Adrian stopped hanging out with me. Like I asked Adrian a long time ago after that, I was like, how can we stop hanging out with me? And he's like, man, because you're always depressed, you're always down. And I don't blame Adrian for that, because you have to be around people that aren't bringing you down. And I was like, my situation, I was just so tough, like I couldn't stop that from bleeding out to everywhere. But then I had like everybody telling me, my wife, my mom, everybody telling me like, you gotta get a normal job, you gotta get a normal job, you gotta get a normal job, you're not gonna do this. My friends, like everybody, I'm like, no, this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen. So then I ended up snapping myself out of it and then started making some deals. And I'm talking big deals, like big money deals, like money that you make, most people don't make in a year, in one deal. And it was all because I knew I could do it. Like everybody, the whole world will tell you can't do it. You think you gotta have all this stuff, you gotta have all this money, you gotta have all this credit, you gotta have everything going right, but that's totally not true. That's totally not true at all. So now here I am. So I would call myself a newbie still. And I've only been doing it probably, what do you think, Adrian? 1.5 years maybe?
Oh yeah, close to 2 years maybe?
Yeah, close to 2 years, but out of that 2 years, there was like the months where I fell into depression and stopped, and then, like the drug use and all this, and the alcohol use, that was like a handicap. So, if I did all this with a handicap, those big handicaps, depression, finding my partner dead, and all this stuff, like then I know like any of you guys, like looking at all you guys all look solid to me, So I know any of you guys can do it. And then the thing about real estate too is, it's like, so I'm so lucky to find it, because like I told you about my hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt that I'm paying off, I would not have been able to do that with a normal job or any job. Even if I had a job that was $5,000 a month, which is good money right now, I would have never done it. But with real estate, the sky's the limit. Like literally, it's like a get-rich scheme, but it's not a scheme. You know what I mean? Like it's literally like a thing where you can make tens and even $100,000 on a deal. You hear about people. I listen to podcasts like Adrian does. Like Adrian's been a big help to me too. It's like broadened my horizon. So every day I make sure I listen to podcasts. Like if you guys are going to get into this, or if you already are into this, or whoever's online there, the thing is you got to listen to podcasts, and you got to put yourself around that. Because let's say, like, if, for instance, you're at a car dealership, you got all these brochures, you got managers, you got people talking, you got inventory, you got the whole atmosphere is about selling cars and about the product. But when you're doing this, you're by yourself, and you can get lost. You can just pretty much totally like forget about it, sleep in until 10 o'clock or whatever. But when you're listening to podcasts, like Wholesaling Inc. is a really good one. If you guys want to check out wholesaling, because wholesaling is something that you can do with $0 and then make 10 grand in a couple weeks. You know what I mean? And then bigger pockets, Wholesaling Inc. and bigger pockets. So when you're listening to these podcasts, like it's like one of the most important things to do. Even if it's not those two podcasts, if it's another podcast that you find that you like, super important because like when I'm out, I go do a lot of door knocking. That's what I do. I put little sticky notes on people's doors that says, I want to buy your house. I'll buy it in its current condition. And instead of listening to music, I listen to podcasts. I mean, once in a while, maybe since I listen to so many podcasts, I'll listen to music or something. But mostly it's just like you got to listen to the podcast. You got to put yourself in those, you know, because then you get ideas, you get pumped up, and then it's just like I said, like it's like you're in like a business now. It's just really important. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if I can do it, like anybody could do it, and then I know that myself, I'll be out of debt very soon, and start making money. Like Adrian always tells me, he's like, "You're gonna be a millionaire, Rob. You're gonna be a millionaire, Rob." And like that's true. Like I don't 100% believe it, but I just got to put in the work and the effort. You can't just say it. But and we're not talking digging ditches though. You know what I mean? It's more mental. Like, you know, if you're out there and there's a way that you can find properties, driving for dollars, knocking on doors, you might talk to some, not get nothing for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, but when you hit a deal and you do a flip or wholesale it and you make 40 grand on that one deal, then all of a sudden it's worth it, you know, so you just can't really get discouraged at all. But wholesaling and real estate, you meet great people too, like really great, positive people, life-changing people. But it's pretty much like one of the ways that, you know, it's all about money. Like most people want to do it, and it's all about money and using that money however you want it. Like Adrian likes to help people, you know, like I think most people want to help people out. You know, money makes the world go around, money makes people happy, and real estate is one of those things that you don't have to have any education. It's just something that if you just do it, you're gonna make tons of money. I know I keep saying money, but that's all about.
It's true.
We love money.
Yeah, I mean when you're 300 grand in debt and then you got like court papers stacking up, I'm not even showing up to court. You know, like I owe that money already, and it's just fucking stressful.
There's people out there that buy a house and they just like fall into like equity, right? Like they buy a house and now it's worth 300,000. They didn't even try.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just because they bought a house, we're like, holy shit, now I got a ton of money.
Yeah, and I suggest a lot of people do wholesaling. Like, even if you're into flipping, even try wholesaling. Because it's literally a way that you can buy a property with other people's money. Like, I didn't even hear the term other people's money until I did it a few times. And I was at Adrian's office. He's like, OPM, other people's money. I'm like, OPM? Oh, that's what Nipsey Hussle keeps saying. This rapper, I always hear this rapper saying, OPM. I'm like, what does that mean? And then he said it one day, and I'm like, oh, other people's money. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm buying properties with other people's money.
Where do you start though? Like how do you, I mean, you say you put stickers on doors, right? But if you don't have that cash, I know you said you could find somebody. Like how would somebody like none of us who've never done it before know where to go for that money?
So I was really lucky because I had Adrian help me out. But like he said, YouTube and like where you're at right now is big. You know what I mean? It's like huge. Like if you go find yourself a property, you got Adrian that'll buy it from you. You know, you got this gentleman that'll buy it from you. I don't know, like, everybody who else is in here, if you guys are veterans or what. But the way wholesaling works, and I won't go get too much detail because that's not what this is about, I guess, but the way wholesaling works is you find a house, you contract it, you sell it to an investor, and you pretty much go to the title company on the same day. You take the investor and the person selling the house, contract them on the same day, an hour apart or whatever, and then you keep the change. That's the way I always say it, is you keep the change. So if I buy a house from you for $100,000, I tell Adrian, hey, I got this house for $120,000. I contracted you already, the title company has the work, I contracted him, title company gets it, we set up a closing date, and you guys never cross paths, and then I bought your house with his money, and I keep the change.
You keep the 20 grand.
You keep the 20 grand. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've seen people make $40,000, $50,000, $70,000 on doing that. And if you don't have any money, it's something that you can do. Like literally, even if you you don't have gas money, go out there and walk in the neighborhood. Just go walk in the neighborhood.
It could be your next door neighbor.
It could be your next, bastard.
You got his next door neighbor?
Yeah,
2 doors down.
he got one from me 2 doors down from me. And that's another thing about action is I put a sticky note on that door, seen them people out in the driveway many times, and it was, you're looking for distressed property. So like if you're in a good neighborhood and you see one house that's sticking out like a sore thumb, like there's something fucked up about this house. Like this one had like a fire pit in the front yard. Like I live in a decent neighborhood. Fire pit in the front yard. These people are just like they park on the grass and all this. I put a sticky note on the front door, but I think he actually maybe went up and talked to them, or they called him or something. So if I would have just went and knocked on that damn door and talked to the people, it'd have been my deal. You know what I mean? So that's the big thing is like action. You gotta put yourself in uncomfortable situations. And to me, they're not really uncomfortable.
So what do you say to people that don't have like sales background, like me and you do? What advice would you give to them?
Shoot, like I don't even know how I would do it without sales background, just because I'm so used to talking to people. You know, I'm so used to just like putting myself out there. And I think because I have been in therapy before and all that, and I think I learned because I was really like I grew up in like mental abuse, rejection as a child, and then I started loving sales because of rejection, I think. And then like that was kind of like facing my fears, you know what I mean? So like a lot of people don't want to call people. They don't want to call because they don't want this guy saying, you know, quit calling my house. You guys keep calling my house. Or I even had someone call me the other day, telling me, literally, I promise you this. She told me she was going to kill me if I came on her property.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I've even sent him voicemails. Like people telling him, like, don't you ever dare showing up to my. And I'm like,
you need to get more.
yeah, I think that's awesome. Because, like,
yeah, that's cool. It means you're doing your job.
Yeah, it means I'm doing my job. Action, it's action. That's what I look at it. And every no, you get closer to get, you know, is closer to a yes. But somebody that doesn't, I would just say, do it. You know what I mean? That's the only, and then YouTube University, you know, like he says, like, but go to these wholesaling things, like literally, if you go to like, if you put wholesaling houses or wholesaling real estate, there's 1 million videos, you know, and I would not suggest going on one that's an hour long. You know what I mean? Like, just like, I like the short stuff too, you know, like that's why I didn't really like AA classes, because there's like 12 steps. So I'm like, if there's 3 steps, I'll go. I'm not lazy. But yeah. So what I do is like I just like you can literally there's free sources like if you guys want to write this down. And Adrian told me about this too. It's fastpeoplesearch.com, and that's how you can find people's phone numbers. The county assessor website is how you can find their names, and you can find their mailing address. So if they have a different address than what they're at, a mailing address would be where they live at, so that you know that if they have a different mailing address than the property. So you put that name into Fast People Search, comes up with a bunch of phone numbers, and it's totally free. And you just call them. Or if they have a different address like I do, I'll just go drive out to that person's address. Like if I'm here on Dunn Street and I see that they live on Pershing, I'll drive to Pershing and just knock on the door and just say, hey, I'm a real estate investor. You own a Pershing over here, or you own a house over here on Dunn Street. I was wondering if you might want to sell it. You know, and they might tell you, get the hell off my property and pull out a gun, or whatever. You know what I mean? At least you're not like preaching like Jesus, so they probably won't pull out a gun or whatever. But like you literally have to put yourself in those situations, like where people are going to tell you no or get off the property. But when you find that one that says yes, it's totally worth it. You know?
So if they don't answer the door, is that when you leave a sticky note?
Yeah, you leave a sticky note. You find their phone number. You call them. You make sure that you make sure you just until you find that person, they tell you no. So you keep on trying to find ways. It's like detective work. Write them a postcard or handwrite a letter. Because sometimes they'll live like in another state, so you can't literally just don't drive out there, you know. And sometimes you can't find their phone numbers. And there's other ways too. You can pay for, you know, like searches, 18 cents a lead or whatever, but most of those they want you to have, what is it, like 500 at least or something, right? Like,
List, yeah.
Yeah, you have to have like build a big list.
Unless you guys got like Deal Machine. Deal Machine's
Yeah.
good out for driving for dollars.
And Deal Machine is really good. It's $40 a month if you put in the code TTP. That's from Wholesaling Needs. TTP means talk to people. It's a huge thing. Like, I just want to tell you real quick about talk to people. Like everybody I come in contact when I'm out in these neighborhoods, someone's walking the dog, or if I'm putting a sticky note and
Yeah,
I'm
you've gotten a few from just people like taking out their trash or something.
taking
right?
out the trash.
And you like help them carry the trash can
Mhm.
in or something, and you gotta deal from
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, like the first time I did it, I'll put sticky notes on, like, I just find neighborhoods, sometimes you just put it on every door. You know, like it's a neighborhood where it's probably like a lot of houses are good ones. And you hear someone open the door and you're like all scared, you try to walk away. And I was doing that one time, and I said, you know, screw that, turn around. And I was like, hey, how you doing? And they're like, what's this? You know what I mean? So that's an opportunity. Like every time you're, and like literally you could be at a gas station, you know, anytime, I used to have this guy that told me, like, anytime you're exchanging money, you should always give someone your business card. But to tell you the truth, I don't even have business cards. You know what I mean? Like literally, like you can, like now I got like an office downtown and all that. I got a guy that's kind of working for me a little bit, so I'm trying to scale, but learning my, you know, what I did and failing in those businesses, I'm not trying to scale too bad, but too big or whatever. But it's a big deal. Like you just got to talk to people, tell everybody, like it'll happen. 100%, I guarantee it. It'll happen if you just talk to people, but it's not going to happen if you don't talk to people. And then too, another thing I want to just point out, I know I'm talking a lot. Maybe Adrian was right, he said I would talk a lot. But another thing I want to point out is like if a lot of people are scared, like this is one thing, is they're scared like if you're going to be, I've never flipped houses myself. And I'll maybe do it in the future, probably I will. But is don't be afraid to flip a house, don't be afraid to buy a house, because as long as you buy it for a good price, right Adrian? Like Adrian even said earlier, like if you get the deal and it's at a good enough price, you're gonna find an investor. Like he said, if you show him a house that's, you got it for $100,000 and he knows it's worth $250,000, you're not gonna have any problem selling that. So like I think that's a lot of problems that people have that I see with my friends in the business is you make your money where you buy the house.
Do you think that'll change as the market changes? Like, I mean, obviously it will, but are you concerned about that at all, or is it?
I have zero concerns. Yeah, like tell you the truth, like I'm probably wrong, but like when he was talking about cap rate and this and that, I have no clue what that stuff is. Like I literally don't have any idea what this is. Like we have a friend, it's called analysis paralysis. Have you ever heard, or paralysis by analysis or whatever?
Analysis paralysis.
Yeah, where if you think too much about that stuff and think, what's the market gonna do? What's this gonna do? Blah, 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 blah. You know everything, but you're not making any deals. You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter. Like the market has absolutely nothing. Because if you know there's investors that are looking to buy houses, and you know there's people that are in situations that we can help them out of those situations by, you know, buying their houses, it doesn't matter what the
There's always gonna
market.
be people out there that are gonna have situations and issues.
And there's always, you just gotta have that abundance mindset. You know, that's why I'm sitting here sharing stuff with you guys too. You know, because some people won't want to share it because they figure, oh, you're gonna go out there now and go
Yeah,
knock
you
it on
told me that.
doors.
You're like, why are you telling me this?
Yeah, no, the other guy told you that. Yeah, he's like, why would? Because like Adrian met me with an investor, and he's, you know what I mean. And the guy was confused, like, now I can take Rob's deals, and why not you, Adrian? But it's just. There's always deals out there, but you just gotta forget about all that stuff. Forget about the market. Go find you a house, get it deeply discounted price. You know, and you remember you're not robbing people either. You're helping people out of situations.
Well, and from an outside perspective, it seems like the network is pretty substantial or important. You know, like
What do
all
you
the
mean?
friendships and working relationships that you guys all have with one another, it seems pretty invaluable.
Yeah, like Adrian's my competition. Like we were even talking crap. Well, it's not up there no more. Like my logo looks a lot like his logo. But guess what? We're a competition. But guess what? Who buys a lot of my houses from me? Adrian does. He bought a house 2 doors down from me. You know what I mean? But I'm like, cool. I hope he makes the money because then when I go buy this house, he'll have more money to buy that. You know, not that he's broke, but you know what I mean? Like the money just revolves when you're in a big old network like this. Yeah. A big old network like this. So that's a really cool thing about like real estate. Like it's endless opportunities. Like he was even talking. What was your name again? JP. Yeah, JP was even talking about some stuff, and I was like, what is he talking about? But in my mind, I'm thinking, man, there's so many ways to make money in real estate.
So many.
Like there's so many different ways to make money in real estate. Yeah. But you just can't let none of this stuff get to you. You just got to go find a house, get it at a deeply discounted price. If you're gonna flip it, then good. You're in a good position.
If you're gonna rent it, you're in a good position.
If you rent it, you're in a good position, or if you're gonna wholesale it, you're in a good position.
Question for both of you guys, foreclosures, is that something that You guys?
I've never done one yet, cause I'm new at it, but he probably.
So, I've had nothing but just not good experience with foreclosures, cause everyone and every new investor is going that route. So every like foreclosure address that's on foreclosure.com, whatever, right? Every new investor's hitting them up, right? Like that person is, there's pretty much no chance of getting that person, right?
Like they're on the list, you're saying, right?
Right, because they're
Yeah.
all pre-foreclosures are online, they're public, like, it's out there. So every investor, every realtor, everyone in the real estate business is calling that person.
Yeah, but it's not like you can't get a deal.
It's
though.
not that you can't, I mean, you can get them at auctions like
Yeah.
Wedgwood, JP's client, they're a big flipper out of California. And they buy, auction houses, but those are like foreclosed houses.
There's just so much
Banks.
interest in it.
There's so much interest,
Yeah.
right? Like, and then it goes to auction or whatever, and then there's still, even at the, at the auction, there's still a lot of interest, right?
Like pre-foreclosures, like my advice would be pre-foreclosures, if they have, like, they owe 80 grand, and the house is worth 300 grand or whatever, and then you can buy it for 90 grand, and you just find out what the payoff is, actually the title company will do that for you.
And that's, in essence, what you're looking for with a wholesale, right?
Right, or with a purchase, wholesale or purchase, yeah, you wanna make sure that they don't owe a whole lot on it. If they don't owe a whole lot on it, it's not even a deal. I mean, it's not even a big deal, it's not even a problem. Because you're gonna give them the money, the title
So like
company's
on
gonna
that
work
deal
all that
machine
out.
will tell you too, like if you, on that app, it'll tell you like a percentage of equity.
Yeah, get
When
deal
you-
machine.
When you type in the address, it'll tell you who owns it, where they live, equity, when they bought it, right? Price they bought it, all that will be on us. My deal machine is so good.
Yeah,
And
it's only
$40
$40
a month, and it'll tell you
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
have deal machine?
Well, actually, I do. I have it off and on. But here's the thing about Deal Machine. What's really good is like we're talking about lists. You can buy a list, and Adrian's probably heard this term a lot of times. The best list is the list you build yourself. So with Deal Machine, you put in all your houses that you're out driving for dollars, as we call it, or working deals or leads. You put them in there, or whatever, and then you can actually download that and use that for later. Like if you wanted to use it for a mailer, or if you want to use it for like a calling, like you can get like what are those things called, like Mojo Dial, like a dialer, like a call dialer. So that's what's cool about like Deal Machine has so many good things that you can use. Only $40 a month. If you put in the code TTP, they'll make sure you put in the promo code, or else it's like 60 a month, I think.
50. Yeah.
Is it 50 a month? Yeah, but 40 bucks.
Is good, yeah.
You don't even have to have that though. Like literally you don't.
I
You just
didn't
have
do
the
that.
county server, and then you got that fast people search. But Deal Machine is just, I mean, if you can afford $40 a month, I mean, it keeps it all nice and compact for you right there. It keeps all your
You
leads.
put
There's a
notes
spot for
in, take a
notes.
picture, like it'll let you take a picture of the house, and then you can put send postcard, and it'll send a postcard to that with the
Yeah.
picture of the house.
Yeah, so you
And
just buy
can
credits.
make like a custom postcard with like, hey, my name is Rob, I'm trying to buy your house, whatever you wanna put on there, right? And you can send them a postcard off the app, like it'll only take me 5 seconds to do one house. Add it in, send a postcard. Boom.
And you see like the bandit signs around town. You buy houses. That's
He did
100.
those for a while. He
Yeah,
did
I had
those
like
for a
300 up around town. Yeah,
I did that when I first started too. I had them everywhere. Albertsons parking lot, Walmart parking lot,
I
everywhere.
spent $300. You get $100 per one. Put on it, and you get some calls. People bitching about it. The city. They'll call you. I'm joking.
Miracle.
They took it. They actually. They
Don't put
did
your
much.
logo on it, cause I did.
Yeah, don't put
And
your
then
logo. And I hope no one from the city is listening.
Don't put your logo on it.
Yes.
No, you don't.
On the
It's not.
bandit
It's
sign.
not
Oh.
for brand recognition, definitely. And you probably want to get like even a Google phone number. You know what I mean, like a free. Google phone
You put your cell phone on all those?
I did. I put my cell phone number on it. Yeah. But literally, like I spent like $300, and I made. I got one deal off it. Adrian was when I was first. When I was
First
first
Avenue?
starting.
First
It was
Avenue?
on First Avenue in Warren. It was right there on First Avenue in Warren. And I hope I can I talk money? Yeah, well, I made $7,500 and he made $2,500 on it. And because the guy seen a bandit sign that said, we buy houses, and guess what? He had it on the market, but it expired. Like, the real estate agent couldn't buy it, sell it.
Price too high.
However that happens, I don't know about
That's price
real
too
estate.
high.
Yeah,
Most
price
of
too
the
high
time
or
it's price
whatever,
too
you
high.
know.
Oh, I know which house that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was on First Avenue.
Uh-huh, yeah.
Right on the corner there.
Yeah, I know exactly what house it is.
And then that guy, the reason why Adrian got 25% of it is because he met me up with a buyer, because I didn't really have a buyer's list yet. And now that buyer, me and him met, and he's bought 2 more houses from me. Networking. You know, you can even call people too, like, hey, I see this house on so-and-so street, do you own it? You wanna sell it? They're like, no, I buy houses. Oh, cool, well, I'm a wholesaler. Can I put you on my buyer's list? And then talk to people, like I keep saying, like that's freaking the hugest thing. It's like, you gotta get out of this numbers game. And then when you're out there and you're meeting not just sellers, motivated sellers, you're actually meeting like whole people that buy houses and stuff. You know? Like today, like I get huge benefit out of this today. Like
Yeah,
even
JP
meeting you.
now.
Yeah,
JP's
yeah.
gonna
Meeting
do
this
good.
gentleman here, meeting here. I know I'm gonna make money off these guys.
Likewise.
Yeah,
Where's my
likewise.
money?
They're gonna make money off me, I'm gonna make money off them. But what I can't harp more is you just gotta do it. Like, don't wait 1 second. Even if, and don't get that attitude like, oh, I should have done it yesterday, now I'm not gonna do it. So even if you've been procrastinating, don't let that stop you. You know what I mean? You just gotta do it, and then it's called massive action, but we've all heard this massive imperfect action. You gotta put massive action into it, but it doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm learning all these little words, all this shit I'm saying to you is off of like podcasts. It's off podcasts and YouTube, so I'm not like making this up. You know, I'm like this brilliant guy. You know, I'm listening to this and I'm hearing this on podcasts. Massive imperfect action. Oh shit, that makes sense. You know what I mean? But you're not gonna do nothing if you don't do nothing. I just made that up.
That's a good one. That should be a podcast, bro.
Yeah. But you know, you just gotta do it. Go knock on that door. Go look at it. Call them. You don't know what you're talking about, but as soon as they say I want to buy it, then just call me up. I'll get you my number. And
Half a deal. Half
yeah,
a
half
deal.
a deal. You know what I mean? And there's always people that
You
are
guys want to
out.
split half deals with me? Let's
Yeah.
go.
So the moral of the story is, doesn't matter the situation you're in. You don't have to have all the right. You don't have to have a real estate license. You don't have to have all the money. You don't have to have the good credit. You don't have to have the good marriage, the perfect life. And you can still make yourself a couple $100,000 or whatever it is, $10,000, $1 million. You just gotta do it. You just gotta do it. That's it. I think everybody can agree with me. All right.
Yes.
Nike nailed it. Just do it.
Just like now, Nike said, just do it.
So going back to my question, if some of these guys don't have the sales, what would you still tell them today to get back?
YouTube
YouTube?
University, they'll tell you, they'll teach you word tracks, how to like, you can literally go on YouTube, usually they'll say, my link's down here, and you click on a link, and then it'll like be a script. Scripts is huge too, like I didn't mention that, you know, there's so much you can go into, but scripts, like you can literally print out a script from Wholesaling Inc., like that's the biggest one, like if you just do Wholesaling Inc., you're gonna find a lot of stuff. And you can find a script, and you just read that script, blah, 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 but make it look like, you know, sound like, you know, even if it's like a robot, the first one, who cares? You might fuck it up really bad, but by the next one, you're gonna fuck it up, next one, you're not gonna, and then blah, 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 you know what I mean? But if you don't do that, like he was saying, you gotta make the mistakes. If you don't do it, but like YouTube, so much stuff, they'll teach you how to be a salesman. And I'm not one to believe that you have to be a born salesman. Like some people say you have to be born with it, be born with a salesman. I think that's bullshit. I mean, maybe it helps, but I don't think so. I think there's a lot of scripts out there, a lot of word tracks. There's only so many objections people can tell you. So if you learn the rebuttals to each one of those objections, like there's literally, it's like I think Grant Cardone said that one time. Like objections is like a playing field, like a football field. You know, it's 100 yards wide and so many feet long or whatever, and like there's literally so many objections. And so if you've learned by these scripts and watching these videos and practicing every single objection, you've heard it before. Like I've heard that one before. I've heard that. That's what I say whenever someone says this. I say this. Anybody can do it. Like literally, but you just gotta do it. You can't be scared. You can't be waiting. You can't be trying to figure out what cap rates are and all that. I mean, it's good though, like because he'd invest money and all that, you know. And,
You'll need it.
yeah, but yeah, I mean, I'll need it eventually. I will. You know, just like if you own a construction company, you can start with a shovel. I guarantee it. But you'll need a tractor someday. You know what I mean?
Alright, for sure.
But you're not gonna get that tractor unless you start with that shovel. Don't try to get the money to buy that tractor first. It's a little metaphor.
That's a good one. I like it.
That's what I learned. just like Adrian says, that I believe anybody can do anything. And that's so true.
That's true.
Anybody can do anything, but they just have to do it. You gotta have an idea and then action. So, any question? Did I talk too much?
No, you're great. Everybody looks at me. Well, I'll just ask a question then. What thought or belief pivoted you out of being in your room depressed and being like, okay, suck it up, Rob. I need to take action. Like, I need to get something figured out. What was that?
It's just, I think, like I can't remember exactly, but I just knew I could do it. And then especially when you, like an example, you're not, let's say like you're not doing anything, you're not making any deals with what you're doing, and you turn around the corner. I always say like there's a deal around the corner, you know? So I think I knew that if what I was doing was I was gonna lose everything. You know, even your wife, they're there for you, but they don't wanna hear you crying, being all depressed. And my wife literally, like, she didn't say it then, but like afterwards, she's just like, I was tired of hearing this, you know, poor me, you know what I mean? Like, it's this whole thing about, one day I was just like, I have this potential, I'm seeing other people do it, you know, I'm seeing Adrian do it, you know, like on Facebook, and like I'm a big believer, like if you, like Adrian said, like I think a lot of us have like minds, like if you see someone else doing it, like they don't have superpowers. They're not like the Incredibles or something, you know? Like literally they're not.
Just like if Adrian could do it.
Yeah, but like, you know, like Grant Cardone do it, or you watch The Prophet, you got these billionaires and all that. And of course some people are in the money, like they're born into money or whatever, but yeah, I just knew that if I didn't get off my ass, I was gonna lose everything. Like if I want to get down to it, you know. Starting to sound like a therapy session again, but but yeah, that's what got me out of it. And as soon as I got out of that bedroom and put on my clothes and went out there knocking on doors, I was making money. You know. But then, you know, it's all about consistency though. I mean, you do gotta be consistent. Yeah. You gotta be, but life will throw shit at you. You know what I mean? But when it throws shit at you, you just gotta keep going. Take a hit, keep going. I don't know if that's a good enough answer.
If it was to the truth, that was good enough.
Yeah. Yeah, literally I was about to lose everything. And like I said, this is the business where you can gain everything. You're not making $20 an hour. I mean, if you do it, if you go out there and you do it, like everybody in this room can do it. And then I tell a lot of people about wholesaling and all that, and they're like all into it. They get all pumped up, but I never hear a phone call from them again.
Yeah, I think you were the only person that I actually did it. I told so many people too.
Yeah, I've told a lot of people because it's just like this. It's like you can make all this money, like, and then people are like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. And I've even had people like build their own websites and stuff too, and do all this stuff, and then they never made a deal. That's that analysis paralysis thing too. Like you just gotta start
Too much into it.
getting out there. Like I literally buy a stamp from Office Depot for $30, and it says I want to buy your house, and I put it on everybody's doors, and that's probably how I've made most of my money. Or cold calling. And it's not that uncomfortable once you do it a few times.
What's your biggest fear?
Yeah.
When he said that, I was like, this is exactly like a therapy session. Because I had that question asked to me before.
Did you?
In a therapy session.
No shit.
But
Damn.
my biggest fear is almost like what yours was,
Yeah.
but it's kind of a little bit different. It's like I heard somebody saying that when you die, you're not gonna think about all the stuff you did do, like you accomplished. You're gonna think about all the stuff that you didn't accomplish. You know what I mean? So you know what I mean by that? Like you're gonna like I don't want to die with a lot of regrets. And especially like when I was into like alcohol and like drug use and all that, like dying like that was like one of my biggest fears. Well, I guess one of my biggest fears is death. You know, probably dying, leaving my wife alone. That's my biggest fear in life. Successful, like business wise, is dying with a lot of regrets. And you're not gonna have that many regrets saying? What does Nike say?
Just do it.
Just do it. Yeah. Because at least you tried it.
Mhm.
At least you tried it. Yeah. So if you see somebody like me, like uneducated, you hear I'm using big words. I don't use big words. I don't have big vocabulary. I just get out there and do it.
Do you have a daily routine, like, that gets you going?
So I'm not really big on like the daily routines, and like I'm still trying to get my life together. You know what I mean? And I think like Adrian gives me so much ideas too, and like it's like huge to have a mentor. But these mentors can be someone in person, or like even online or whatever. I think it's more important to have like a morning routine, and I think maybe even Adrian told me that. I don't know, but like daily routines are just, to me, I can't stick to them. Because if I say I'm gonna do this at 1 o'clock every day, but if I get a homeowner that calls me and says, "Hey, come look at this house," I'm ditching that. You know what I mean? So I think a routine is really important in the morning. Get up really early.
I guess that's what I meant, like the
Yeah.
mindset, like, for the day.
Yeah. Just I'd say like what I try to do now is I try to get up really early, 5:30, 6 o'clock. That's not early to a lot of people maybe, but it is to me. And then just kind of get my day like all organized in my head, get everything going. Because you know, if you wake up at 8 or 9 o'clock, you're running out the door, you're starting a deficit. You're starting the day with a deficit already. So if you wake up early in the morning, I'm sure Adrian does the same thing. And I think morning routines are really important. So like right now, I'm kind of like, in my life where I'm at, I'm kind of like establishing that routine right now. Coming up with that routine. Tweaking it a little bit, you know, because some things don't work, you know, but it all starts with getting up early in the morning. Like you can't be sleeping in late. I used to always say you're not an entrepreneur if you're sleeping in late and not going out there doing things. You're unemployed. You know what I mean? A lot of people are like, I'm an entrepreneur, I can do whatever I want. Now you're unemployed.
That's what JP always tells us, you're unemployed to your next deal.
It's true. Yeah. So morning routine is really important, and I think it's really important to find yourself a morning routine and stick to that morning routine. Like Adrian, do you have a morning routine?
Mm-hmm.
And it just jacks you up if you have to. And you won't break that morning
I
routine,
would
will you?
never.
You'll never. I think one time I asked him to go to the gym with me at like 9 in the morning or something like that, and he's like, "Nah, bro, I got a routine, and if I break that routine, I get cranky." That's what he told me.
That's the truth, bro. I get pissed. For sure.
Yeah, so I believe in it. And I'm kind of on the edge about like how you got all these go-getters that say, you know, working till 11 o'clock at night, get up at 3 in the morning. I kind of agree with this stuff, but I kind of don't. You know what I mean? Like, I think that life is, I think maybe as the older I get, that's why we're doing this stuff, so we can have more valuable time, you know what I mean? But if you get up early in the morning, like, what do you work till, Adrian? 3? 3:30?
3, and then I'll be at the gym at 4.
Be at the gym at 4, and then do you work at night, maybe, a little bit?
No,
Maybe answer calls.
Probably
Watch some videos if you say it, right? Instead of, you know what I mean? But
not crazy though. I pretty much just spend time with her.
and that's what it's all about.
Yeah,
Yeah, you get up early, you handle your business all day,
all day long. You got.
And
all day
then-
to do that.
and then you got the rest of the day. You know, 3, 4, 5 o'clock or whatever. I try to work like 5, you know what I mean? But it's just because I'm still, like I said, I'm trying to establish that little routine. I'm trying to find my groove.
Any other questions?
No questions?
Rob, thank you so much. And what is your last name, just for the record? So
Horsley.
people can,
Rob
Horsley.
Horsley.
Perfect, so people can reach out to you.
Sure thing.
Awesome.
So we will formally wrap up. Thank you guys so much for sharing your story and being willing to be in the hot seat or the therapy seat with her.
In therapy, they call it being vulnerable.
It is being vulnerable, yes. And I am so sad that the question that got you sweating so much did not come out of my mouth. Bad, coach, bad.
I got your back. It's good.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
Question.
Yeah, so the point of today, as I said, is just to be able to hear stories about guys, just like the rest of us. Well, I'm not a guy, but you know what I'm saying. People, humans, just like the rest of us that are just trying to figure it out and are just really trying to, working hard and they didn't necessarily come from money or some, super crazy stature that just handed them what they've got. So thank you guys for sharing, and you guys are welcome to hang out, talk more, whatever you want to do. Our kids will entertain themselves for as long as they need to. It just means that their bedtime is delayed. They're not complaining about that. So just to talk a little bit about the future stuff we have going on, every Tuesday, I know I have to think here, every second Tuesday of the month will be this meeting. Next month we are switching locations, and I think we'll be staying at that location for a while, and we're going to be meeting at the Array building, downtown, 3rd floor. The big Array sign on the corner of Lincoln Way and Central? Central. So I'm excited about that. They have beautiful space up there. One of the reasons why I think it's perfect for this meeting is because they have done an outstanding job in rehabbing that old building. It's beautiful. And so it's a unique investment, real estate investment that's happened there. And then on the 4th Fridays, we have lunch that we meet and just kind of hang out and talk and network. So it's not a formal thing like this, but we meet at a restaurant. Still figuring out which restaurant we're going to be at next because the Met just didn't have enough space for us.
It was cozy.
It was cozy.
It was way cozy.
It was COVID cozy. So we're excited about that, and we'll have some other things going on. Anytime that I hear about other things going on in town, I will, I try to get the word out because this is not at all meant to be competitive, us versus them kind of thing. This is about bringing the real estate investing community as a whole together, which I think you guys beautifully demonstrated about it's, even though you're technically competition, you guys still help each other, and that's a beautiful thing. That's what we want is we can all, there's enough for everybody. Like I think I said this last time, a rising tide lifts all boats, and that's our belief, and so we are excited to be surrounded by other people who believe that way too. And if you want a White Claw, I guess you just help himself. All right, so thank you guys, and I appreciate it. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you, Shay.
Yeah.
Do you have a